one of the most loved and controversial lawyers in the world.
She's responsible for putting Harvey Weinstein behind bars.
She's now going after Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell.
What are they trying to cover up?
What fuels you? What makes you work that hard? She's so theatrical, looking for the spotlight.
She's raised hell.
She's obviously just in this for publicity.
I can't even think about it.
Is this getting too personal?
Why was she going after these high-profile cases?
I have suffered in many ways that other women have.
Gloria enjoys conflict. This makes her a great champion for us.
She's been very aggressive.
Guilty! Guilty!
Some people don't like that.
I don't really care.
Where do you draw the line?
What happened to me was absolutely shocking. I turned around and he had a gun pointed at me.
If you don't want to be a victim, don't go to the hotel room.
I walked into the room.
There's a risk when you make those choices.
I almost bled to death.
I was in complete shock, suffering depression.
Painful memories.
Ms. Allred's making these accusations. Something seems wrong to me.
I thought, well, who's going to believe me over a doctor?
I wanted a better life for my daughter.
I don't think she's a good attorney.
That's assault! That is assault!
Wherever you see Gloria Allred, you know somebody's lying.
What made you put these men behind bars?
On vacation in Mexico, I was in my 20s. I met a doctor who asked me out on a date, and I agreed to go to dinner with him. He said, well, first, if you don't mind, I need to stop at the hospital and see some patients, make sure they're doing okay. And then after that, he said, well, I have one more stop. I have some patients who are no longer in the hospital. They're in a hotel. I need to go there just to check on them and see how they're doing as they're recuperating. And he opened the door and I walked into the room and it was empty, and I turned around and he had a gun pointed at me. And after that, he raped me. I was in complete shock. I didn't report it to the police. I was in my 20s. I was a teacher.
I was divorced and a single parent.
I thought, well, who's going to believe me over a doctor?
I discovered I was pregnant.
At the time, abortion was a crime in many states. You couldn't get an abortion in the hospital, but you could go there if you were bleeding to death.
I was forced to undergo
An illegal, unsafe abortion.
I began to hemorrhage heavily. I almost bled to death.
I developed 106-degree fever and had to be taken to the hospital in an ambulance and then packed in ice. And there were literally wards where there were just women hemorrhaging after an illegal abortion. When I woke up, one of the nurses taking care of me, she said, "This will teach you a lesson."
Endless ride on an emotional roller coaster.
Suffering, depression,
painful memories. I wanted a better life for my daughter.
I don't know what lesson she thought I was going to learn from that, but I did learn a lesson. Not the lesson she thought I'd learn. I had a decision to make.
And decided it was time to leave teaching to go to law school. I wanted to help give a voice to the powerless. I wanted to make a significant difference in people's lives. The law seemed like a good way to fight injustice.
When I started out in the 70s, there were very few women lawyers at the time. 93% of my law school class, but they were men. I felt that I had a duty to do some cases that would help women. The more cases that I took, the more people wanted to come to me.
I also started seeing rape survivors. These women told me that they didn't want to report the crime because they were afraid they wouldn't be believed. I realized that I had been afraid to report my own rape for the same reason.
Harvey Weinstein, predatory sexual assault and rape in the first degree.
Facing 5 to 29 years behind bars.
Rich, famous, powerful men have to understand there are rules, there are boundaries. They must respect those boundaries.
Gloria Allred, who represents users in the trial against Harvey Weinstein. Gloria, you've been there, of course, from the beginning.
My client, Mimi.
I was mortified. I was in disbelief and disgusted. He wouldn't take no for an answer. He held me down on the bed. I tried to get away and kept asking him to stop, but it was impossible. I would not have wanted anyone to do that to me, even if the person had been a romantic partner. I remember Harvey afterwards rolling over onto his back saying, "Don't you feel we're so much closer to each other now?"
I realize how much is at stake. I know my own life experiences, and I have suffered in many ways that other women have.
The things that have happened to you, that you were raped, the abortion that you had to go through, you helping all of these women, knowing these wounds that you had gone through, with your arms around these women now. I stood in your shoes, sister, and I've got you.
Harvey Weinstein found guilty of both criminal sexual assault and rape in the third degree.
He was convicted of criminal sexual act against her. This is a legal reckoning for Harvey Weinstein. Mimi sacrificed her right to privacy in the interests of justice. For the persons who rape and assault women every day, sit in prison and think about what they've done. You can go from being a victim, transformed into a survivor, transformed into a fighter for change. It then becomes empowering. I can do something to make change here, to win change. Stand up and know what action and steps that they can take to win change and to win respect and dignity and equality. We can be the change we wish to see in the world.